So now we're going to go into our next workshop, and that is resources for tenants and landlords for rent and mortgage relief. We have three guest speakers that will be speaking today. Ted Teyber, who is Senior Housing Program Specialist, excuse me, with the County of Santa Barbara. Ben Romo from Romo and Associates, representing United Way of Santa Barbara, and Luis Beltran, who is also with the, with the County of Santa Barbara. Welcome, gentlemen, and thank you for joining us on this Saturday morning. I know you have a lot to cover, and so I will just let you go ahead and take it away, Ted.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, thank you for joining us. This panel is resources for tenants and landlords, rent/mortgage relief. So I wanted to start the morning or the presentation just noting the recently passed California AB 3088, which is also known as the Tenant, Homeowner, and Small Landlord Relief and Stabilization Act of 2020. So I guess first off, there's a lot of confusion, and I think a lot of landlords are a little bit upset about this new law. And everything we're hearing is that this is really just a temporary, preserve the status quo, keep people in their units, and there's some there is a large expectation that additional legislation and hopefully additional funding will come into play in by the end of the year or early in the new year. But as the law currently stands, it preempted the county's eviction moratorium for residential tenants. And there's sort of three different phases of the law. So the first phase, which ended in August, is called the protected period. And so there were no evictions allowed if your tenant gave a 15-day notice that they were financially impacted by COVID, and those tenants are protected through March of 2021. The second period that we're in right now is called the transition period, and that started in September and goes through January. That also requires that tenants provide their landlords with a 15-day notice that they're unable to pay their rent due to a COVID impact. The difference with that rent for September through January is that tenants are still required to pay 25% of the rent due under the lease, and they can either pay that in a monthly installment, so you can pay 25% of your rent for any given month, or you can also give that 25% sum in a lump sum on January 31st, and then again those tenants would be protected from unlawful detainer action. It's also worth noting that you're still due for that rent that you're unable to pay. So, but the mechanism by which a landlord would be able to recover that rent is a little bit different under AB 3088. So landlords will have to seek rent in small claims court, which has some advantages for tenants, namely being that you are not entitled to an attorney, so everyone self-represents themselves, both the landlord and the tenant. So it's a little bit more of a more even playing field. And yeah, and again, those small claims actions can be brought in March. And then just one last note before I change gears is that to be considered a small landlord and be protected under AB 3088 is you have to be your properties, you need to have 1 to 4 non-owner occupied buildings, and you have to own the property as you're an individual. You can't own it in an LLC, or I believe that would also apply to a limited partnership, but I'm not positive about that. But so if you're considered a small landlord under AB 3088, just in case there's landlords in addition to tenants listening to this panel, there are foreclosure protections for you. Again, if you fall within the two big thresholds there to have foreclosure protection under the current state law is 1 to 4 non-owner occupied buildings, and you also own the property as an individual, not in a corporation. So with that being said, and there's a great website that the state has provided, and I'll provide that link at the end of the presentation. But that website has a lot of great resources for tenants, both examples of the 15-day notice you would need to provide your landlord, and then also it has a lot of guidance for landlords. And again, all like what used to be a 3-day notice to quit is now a 15-day notice. So there's a lot of changes, and there's the state has kind of put all of the information and guidance documents on one website, which again, I'll put the link up at the end. But so given that right now for September through January rent to be protected from an eviction, you need to provide 25% of the rent, and you're still liable for that rent at some point in the future in the small claims court. A lot of tenants or low-income families that have experienced a financial impact due to COVID are looking for rent subsidies to stay in their existing units. And there's a couple programs at the county and various city levels that do exactly that. So with that segue, the first one that I think we want to talk about is United Way's program. This is for unincorporated Santa Barbara County residents. So if you live in any city of Santa Barbara, city of Goleta, Carpinteria, Santa Maria, Lompoc. If you live in a city, there are other programs available. But this is just for unincorporated county. And so examples of unincorporated county would be Nolita, Isla Vista, Coyama, Los Alamos, Montecito. So if that area is, if that's just the jurisdiction in which you live, then the United Way has a program that provides $3,000 or 3 months rent. There's a $3,000 cap to low-income families below 80% area median income that have experienced a loss due to COVID. And Ben Romo is going to talk about some of the details of that program. And with that, I'll turn it over to Ben before we come back and talk about some of the other city programs.
Thanks, Ted. Thanks everyone for joining today, and for the organizers, Housing Authority, and everyone involved in putting this event together. I'm Ben Romo. I'm a consultant, but I work with the United Way of Santa Barbara County. And one of the programs, we have a number of programs that benefit folks who have been impacted by the COVID pandemic, both for health reasons and also for economic loss. And we know there's a lot of that in the community due to the challenging time that we're in. So we're happy to share about one of those programs today, which Ted actually kindly credited United Way with, but I do want to just thank this County of Santa Barbara, the government entity that is funding these grants, is making them available with funding from the federal government, and has contracted with United Way to help administer those funds. And so we have an application that is available on our website. Ted has a list of links that we're going to share at the end of this panel, where folks can apply and learn more about the program. So our program, as Ted said, is only available to people who live outside of the city, outside of any city limits. And it's confusing sometimes. I live a block away from where the city of Santa Barbara ends, for example, and then 3 blocks later, the city of Santa Barbara starts again. So it can be kind of confusing. And one of the links on the list that we have at the end of this presentation is a map that will show exactly where a residence is located, to see if you're eligible. And it's fine to apply, and we have engaged with the Family Service Agency of Santa Barbara County to help us with the review of applications. So when you come to the United Way website and you click on the link that Ted will share a little later, there will be a place to apply. But Family Service Agency is our partner on a lot of the grant programs that we have running at United Way. and they're the ones who will actually help folks through the process of applying. As Ted mentioned, the program is for rental assistance. This particular program is for rental assistance, again, for folks who live outside of a municipal boundary, so in the unincorporated area of the county. In order to apply, a family or the applicant must earn 80% or below median family income. And they're on the United Way website. There's a list of if you're a single person, how much you make, and if you're a family of two, how much you make to qualify. So check that out. But it's 80% of median family income, and it's the limit on funding is $3,000, and that's $3,000. But it's really, what it's meant to be is $1,000 a month, no more than $1,000 a month. And the way this funding works is that that $3,000 is calculated per lease. So, with government funding, it's always hard because it's sometimes inflexible for those who are trying to administer the funds and get the dollars out. And that's because, we want public scrutiny over public dollars and make sure that the dollars are being used for the right reason and that sort of thing. And so, some of the challenges that come up, just so you know, is that in order to be eligible, and this has affected a number of folks who've applied. In order to be eligible, someone has to be on the lease in order for them to be eligible for support. So that's been challenging for some who live maybe doubled and tripled up with multiple families in an apartment or a home where maybe one family isn't on the lease. Unfortunately, that family that's not on the lease isn't considered eligible. For this program, you also need to show economic impact. So a loss of income, loss of work. And there's different ways of showing that. You can show pay stubs from a job and how they've been reduced since COVID. So all of these economic impacts and this loss of work and loss of income has to be related to the economic downturn as a result of COVID. So it could be pay stubs. It could be a letter from your employer as well, just saying, yes, we've reduced hours. The amount of reduction doesn't actually matter that much. So it's not like you need to lose all of your work, but FSA will help go through with you and identify, the level of support that you're eligible for. So those are key issues. There are some challenges with the loss of income. You can also use a tax return from a previous year. Some applicants, though, have had it show in their previous year taxes. They might show a level of income that doesn't accurately reflect the loss that's occurred. So that's sometimes challenging. Again, FSA will work with applicants to find the best way to show that loss of income. So we encourage people to apply, and then FSA is going to contact you and work through the details and help you to try and get as much funding as possible. Payments through this program are sent to the renter's landlord. So recipients or those who are awarded support will get a letter stating how much your landlord will be getting so that okay, this is what I don't owe on my rent. So letters will go out to the recipient and the actual payment will go to the landlord. So then both parties know know what the award is. So you're not double charged. Those are the basics on this program. We're going to share a little bit more about a looming opportunity in the city a little later. But I think those are the key components that I wanted to share today. Ted, if I missed anything, please do let me know, because I'm not always completely in control of all the information. So I welcome any further input from you, Ted.
Yeah, no, that was totally accurate, and I think the one important thing I think that you touched on is that you know, just because you were a higher income last year and your 2019 tax return might be, you know, quite generous, if you've lost income due to COVID and are now think you might fall below that 80% area median income, that is kind of what this program is designed for, is not only people who are just, you know, in our community that are low income, but people who are really low income because of COVID and COVID related economic impacts. So yeah, that's a population that we really want to make sure are aware this program exists, and don't want them to be discouraged just because they maybe used to be a higher wage earner and no longer are.
Yeah, thank you for that, Ted. And can everyone see this, what I'm sharing here now?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. So this is the county program. So this is the rental assistance page at United Way of Santa Barbara County. As you'll see, these are the areas that are listed as eligible. This is not all inclusive, because, you know, when you say Eastern Goleta Valley, sometimes, like I said, it's really hard to determine, do I live in the city or do I not? You might live across the street from the city boundary. So there's this map here, as I shared, and then these are the income levels. So if you're an individual, one person, and you earn below $67,000, then you're eligible from an income level perspective. And as Ted said, you know, what you'll need to show is that you're currently at that level, and you can do that through past pay stubs and that sort of thing. Or a letter from your employer. And these are the additional levels depending on family size. And then here's the link to apply. So I'm gonna stop share. I always get really nervous when I share my screen because I don't want to end the call accidentally. So I'm gonna stop share, and I'll turn it over to the next speaker. I think that's Ted, or no, that's maybe Luis. I forget.
Yeah, I think Luis.
Yes,
yeah.
Luis
Okay,
is.
thank you, Luis. And I'm happy to take questions later if they pop up.
Okay, can everybody hear me? Hi, everyone. So I'm presenting for the Santa Barbara County Social Services for the Housing Support Program. It's a program that's offered at all social services county offices, specifically for families with children receiving CalWORKs, homeless families. So all of our clients in this program do have children. They're homeless families. This program follows the rapid rehousing model that most states follow, state of California. The program helps pay for their security deposit, application fees, time-limited rental assistance. We also assist with housing search and provide case management and burial removal services to help clients stay housed. So whether it's helping them find a job or helping them get our services for substance abuse, we assist with that as well. The goal of the program is to house families as soon as possible and help them become self-sufficient. So obviously, if a client has kids and they're trying to, they're worried about where they're going to sleep at night, obviously we can't really expect them to try to focus on working or anything else. So the premise of the program is to get them housed as soon as possible so that we can start helping them on other barriers that may prevent them from becoming or staying self-sufficient. The clients do have to qualify for CalWORKs. So if you know any families with children that lost all their income or their unemployment right now, I would highly suggest that they apply for CalWORKs. They can apply for that online, or they can also go into any of the county offices, whether it's here in Santa Barbara, Lompoc, or Santa Maria.
Okay, so it looks like we may have temporarily lost Luis. Maybe what we can do now is continue with Ted. Ted, if you're ready to continue with your
Sure.
part of the program, and then we'll get back to Luis once he regains connection.
Perfect. I'm just going to put up the slide that I mentioned earlier, and if I can just get it in presentation mode here. Okay, so can everyone see the screen? So the United Way link here is the one that Ben just had up, and then I just wanted to talk about the city. So Ben was talking about the United Way with funding from the county for unincorporated Santa Barbara County residents. There's a very similar program for most cities in the county. So residents of Goleta, Santa Maria, Buellton, and Solvang, and the city of Santa Barbara. Ben will talk in a minute about the city of Santa Barbara's program, which I believe is on the agenda for Tuesday to be refunded. And similarly with Goleta, Santa Maria, Carpinteria, Buellton, and Solvang, they had programs that were very quickly drawn down, and we are receiving another round of federal funding through the CARES Act. It's actually community development block grant funds, and so most cities are receiving additional CDBG funds, and I think nothing is final yet. But it seems like most cities are going to be going to their city councils to have them approve those additional CDBG funds for emergency rent assistance in the coming month. So currently, if you live in those cities, those programs did exist, and they were all very heavily subscribed, and funds were exhausted. And there will be an additional round, like I said, in the coming month. You should check at countyofsantabarbara.org/housing, or if you just Google Santa Barbara County HCD, we will keep links to applications and summaries of different programs at that link. There's a couple differences about a lot of those programs. One of the good things is those programs tend to offer more money. So the city of Santa Barbara's program, at least in its initial iteration, and again, that's subject to change at Tuesday's meeting, I believe, but the city of Santa Barbara would pay all of your rent. So if you were, if you qualify for the program, it doesn't matter if your rent is $1,000 or $5,000, the city would just pay 3 months rent. I think most other municipalities have capped it at $5,000, which is still more than the county program, which is only $3,000. And, I think the reasons for those differences are just that different city councils and Santa Barbara County Board of Supervisors had different thoughts on kind of the purpose and policy of these programs. So, you could agree with it or not. It was just a kind of a political decision that was made by a lot of those local leaders. And I guess with city councils reconsidering re-upping funds, there's, I guess, an opportunity for commenting. If you have strong thoughts one way or the other, I would encourage you to let your city council representative know, or your Santa Barbara County Board of Supervisor know. I think that, so, but otherwise there's still 80% AMI. And Ben, do you want to talk a little bit about the city of Santa Barbara piece?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Ted. So it's at the same link, and Ted, if you could let me share my screen real quick, I can just show folks the same link here. Bear with me. So same link, just go a little further down past the unincorporated area, and you'll see the city of Santa Barbara application. As Ted mentioned, the city council is considering refunding this for another round. Originally, they funded about I think it was $450,000 in rental assistance, and it went really quick because it is for the full price of rent, I think for 3 months max. And so this is not up and running in terms of, we're not guaranteed that we have this funding, but we're pretty sure it's going to be coming through. It's just, it needs city council support, and we're not exactly sure what the model will be, but we're hopeful and optimistic that the model will be the same or very similar to what we had before. So we're actually encouraging people to apply. And like I said, the last time we had this from the city of Santa Barbara, the dollars went really quick. So you do want to get your name in there. So do go to this link if you live in the city of Santa Barbara. Again, you can look at that map to find out where you live, to find out all this stuff. But click on the link, get an application in. That'll get you in the pipeline and get you on the first come, first serve basis kind of thing. Same requirements as Ted mentioned. And then we'll find out this week whether the city council approves the additional funding that we're hopeful and optimistic that they will.
Great, thanks for that information, Ben. I know there was a lot that it was covered, and thank you, Ted. Thank you for posting those links. We'll have these available for viewing later on the housingsantabarbara.org website. And we'd like to invite Luis Beltran back if he is connected. Luis, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, so sorry. Computer was working until it decided that it was my turn. It didn't want me to do it. So anyways, I'm going to make this brief in case I have any issues again. So specifically, I'm here for the Housing Support Program. It's a program through Santa Barbara County Social Services. This program is specifically for families, homeless families receiving CalWORKs, so welfare. So this program follows a rapid rehousing model. So what it does, it helps pay for their security deposit, it helps pay for some rental assistance, their application fees, etc., to help them get housed. We also offer case management services to keep them housed, to help them remove any barriers they may be experiencing, whether it's not working or whether it's substance abuse. We try to connect them to those services to help them overcome those barriers. Obviously, the purpose of the program is to house them first, because we can't expect our families with children to try to go to work when they're worried about where them and their children are going to sleep at night. So we try to make every effort to get them housed first, and then try to help them remove those other barriers that may lead them towards becoming homeless again. Like I said, it is specifically for CalWORKs families. So if you have any families with children that you know of that either they lost their job or they're no longer receiving unemployment, whatever it may be, and they're homeless, definitely I would recommend they apply for the CalWORKs program. They can apply online, or they can apply at any office in Santa Barbara County, whether it be the Lompoc, Santa Barbara, or Santa Maria office. I specifically, I'm the case manager for the Santa Barbara office, so I handle all the cases here in Santa Barbara. But they can apply for this service anywhere in the county. They will just have to apply for CalWORKs, and once approved, they can request that referral for the program from their eligibility worker. But that's pretty much the gist of the programs. Like I said, we offer some time limited rental assistance, and specifically it's just so that we can help these families with children become self-sufficient and not need us anymore.
Great, Luis. Thank you. That's very, very important program for our families, especially here in this county where it's very difficult to survive. I do have a question for all of you. Which of these programs, if any, are available to undocumented families or families that might have an undocumented family member?
So I can go first. Our program will assist families that are undocumented as long as they have one child that qualifies for CalWORKs. For example, we get a lot of, well, grandma has, she now has custody of the child because either child got taken away by CWS or whatever reason, parents no longer alive. So now grandma has custody of her two children that are residents or citizens. But now let's say she falls on hard times and she becomes homeless with her two grandkids. Well, she wouldn't qualify for any of the CalWORKs services, but the housing support program will still assist this family in finding housing and paying rent and all of that, because ultimately the goal of the program is to protect children. And we want to make sure that these children are not homeless, have to live.
Great, thank you for that, and thank you for the example. That's very helpful.
Yeah.
I can just share that both the county and the city funding through United Way is available regardless of immigration status.
Yeah, and thank you for the question. It's a great question. And all the other city programs that I mentioned, Santa Maria and Carpinteria, Buellton, Solvang, the other cities that have rent, they're specifically or carefully designed to not require or inquire about immigration status. So it would have no, it's completely irrelevant to whether you're eligible for the program, and we're happy it's that way.
Great, thank you for that.
If nobody minds, I'm just going to put the PowerPoint back up just because I want to make sure everyone has enough time to write down all the slashes and colons and all these web links.
That's a great idea. Please share it. And thank you for explaining that. You know, we do rely on many families that live in our area for many services, and so it's very important. And it's also just the decent thing to do to make sure that people can have a roof over their heads and be provided for. We're able to take questions if any of the participants have a question for Ted, Ben, or for Luis. There was a question asking if this information was going to be available. And again, I will repeat, it will be available. These are being recorded and they will be available on the housingsantabarbara.org website. There will also be links from the Housing Authority City of Santa Barbara's website to those videos for viewing at a later date. And if for some reason you have to leave and you want to be able to listen in on one of the other workshops, this is also being live streamed on the Facebook page with the Housing Authority of the City of Santa Barbara. So it doesn't appear that we have any questions. Thank you again, Luis, Ben, and Ted. It's a lot of great information. I know that it can be confusing, and I'm glad that you guys, you did a great job of explaining it. So thank you.
Thank you for having us, Jerry. And Housing
Thank
Authority.
you. Thank you.
I do just have one last thing that I thought I'd share. I saw Azucena Lopez from Isla Vista Youth Projects is one of the participants attending today's event, and I just want to encourage other providers who are in the community to share this information as well. We have a deadline for the county funding. We really need to receive applicants by November 15th for the county funding. There's a longer period where we can accept applicants for the City of Santa Barbara funding, but for the county funding, we have a deadline and we want to get all these dollars out. So I know I was in touch with Juan Azucena at IVYP, and he said that you guys would share that out. So we appreciate it very much, especially for your organization that serves a lot of folks in the unincorporated area. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Isla Vista is a great candidate for this United Way CARES Act program, and it's also worth noting that even though Ben very accurately said there's a lot of constraints with government funding, that CARES Act money is actually pretty flexible compared to the other CDBG funds. So for example, in Isla Vista, generally students, it's kind of more, this is a little bit of an oversimplification, but generally students are not eligible for CDBG funding. You have to, it really goes back to if they're declared as dependents and their families, their entire family would have to qualify as low income. But for these CARES Act funds that the United Way is administering, that is not the case. So even if you're a student who has an adverse impact due to COVID or just a resident of Isla Vista, the United Way's CARES Emergency Rent Assistance Program is a great program that would otherwise, you might not be available for these benefits. And like Ben said, there's a little bit of a rush to get that money out the door in the next month. So if you would encourage anyone who thinks they might be eligible or knows people who might be eligible to go to that United Way website and get your application in this week.
Thank you. Thank you for that clarification. It appears that Orion Brotico from New Beginnings would like to share some information as well. Orion, are you with us?
Yeah. I just wanted to say that on the undocumented question, we have undocumented folks in our program, both the counseling programs and also the safe parking program. And we refer them to Immigrant Hope for assistance with documentation status. And if anyone has a license, a registration, and insurance, they are welcome into our safe parking program. And if they have a valid license and a letter from someone else with a vehicle, and need documentation, or they need help with assistance with that, we can help. So I just wanted to help answer that question and let everyone know that that we accept anyone in that predicament.
Thank you, Orion. Thank you very much. And just as a general reminder, on Monday at 5:30, our workshop will cover resources for undocumented households. So if you work for a nonprofit in the area and you have clientele that would be interested in that, please let them know, have them register. That particular workshop will be held in Spanish, and it will include panelists from Transition House, Cristina Cardoso from the Homes Program. She's a Homes Program Manager, and Claudia Luna, who is a representative from the Mexican Consulate. So please get the word out, and that will be held in Spanish, but then we will have it subtitled in English at a later date within the week on the housingsantabarbara.org website.